All right, welcome to the Messengers Podcast. I am Chris Searles, and we have a little bit of a change for anybody who's been with us before, anybody that's listened to the podcast before. John is he's been busy, occupied. We both kind of have been. That's why it's been a little while since we've podcasted. But John is going to fill in from time to time, hopefully as a special guest, and come in and join us every once in a while. But with me today and for the foreseeable future, I have Rob Seifert. Rob, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself a little bit.
Sure. Hey, Rob Seifert, creative director here at Searles Graphics, and first-time podcaster. Take it easy on me.
Aren't we all? Today, we're going to talk a little bit about identifying underserved opportunities, underserved markets, and trying to find value where nobody else really seems to see any. There's a lot of opportunities that we kind of see throughout the year, whether it's for clients, whether it's for ourselves, but in general, just to find ways that you can grab attention. I mean, that's what this business is all about, right? And marketing is grabbing attention, finding a way for somebody to pay attention to you versus somebody else. And with Valentine's Day coming up soon, we had been talking about some of our own marketing, some of the things that we wanted to do, some stuff that we kind of thought would work for our clients, and it really kind of prompted a discussion about being different, standing out from the crowd a little bit. One of the things we see all the time is Valentine's Day. What is just the typical go-to everybody does? It's a restaurant that does a price fix menu that is double the price of what you would normally spend that night, and come here for date night and blah, 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 blah. Same thing from every restaurant, everywhere. And really, there's nothing different about it, right? You're going to go to the restaurant that you would typically think to go to on a regular Saturday night.
Right, and why do you want to go there and spend more money than you would any other day?
Yeah, exactly.
It just seems that to kind of go against the grain and maybe offer a more valuable menu to a market that's underserved, like you said, would be, more attention getting. You would definitely stand out, and by going against the grain, you might want to. A restaurant might want to have a takeout special for people that just aren't interested in going out. Mm-hmm. Maybe they don't have a significant other. And I think that would be
or they just don't want to deal with the normal
overpriced
craziness
menu, right? So if you feel that you're going to have a full restaurant, why not offer takeout? Or say you're a more of a family restaurant and you're not expecting a large crowd for Valentine's Day. Why not do a love of the family type promotion where it's not about romance and Valentine's, it's about, getting a valuable meal for your family.
Yeah, and I think restaurants are obviously the first thing you think about, right? When you think about Valentine's Day and promotions and what people are going to do. I mean, I know my wife and I, we went out to dinner maybe once on Valentine's Day since we've been married, and it was with our son, and we went to a restaurant, a local restaurant that's decent restaurant. I mean, it's not, nothing crazy, but we ended up spending a fortune because everything was obviously double what it normally was. It's a price fixed menu. We brought our son because we just wanted to go out as a family. We didn't really, wasn't anything more than just, we thought we'd have a nice Valentine's Day and go out and bring him with us. But we got moved through the restaurant in record time. I've never, ever, ever had that much attention from a waiter or a waitress, because it was all about, let's just churn through people as fast as we can, because we know we're charging them more than we ever do. We're going to make more money tonight. And I get that. I mean, if you can do that and you feel like that works for you, then great. But for a lot of the restaurants that are out there, maybe you're not the fanciest restaurant in the world and it's more of a brew pub and something like that.
Sure.
There's a lot of opportunity there to try to identify single people that don't have a Valentine, and really go after that. And even if they don't show up, at least you're standing out. You're doing something that's different. They're going to remember your name for something other than just an expensive meal on Valentine's Day.
Right, right. Yeah, even that I mean, that takeout idea would apply. I mean, that might have been something you would have considered, where you could just have dinner at home with your family if there was a takeout special. Could have been like a lobster special where it's kind of a nice dinner for the family at home, and they offer it at a reasonable price. Um, that the takeout idea for a restaurant would work for New Year's Eve too. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that just sit home and watch the bowl on TV, and all the focus on their marketing is going towards getting people into the restaurant, but they're missing opportunities because doing a takeout special would pull in, a lot more business.
And there's a lot of opportunity there for to be different, right,
Right.
and to stand out. There's a lot of
Yep.
opportunity for humor when you go against the crowd, for sure.
Yeah.
Which always, depending on whether it works for you and your brand, but craft brewery on Valentine's Day being the
Sure.
place where you can drink your sorrows away, or
Right.
you know,
Anti.
yeah, and really kind of going in, on St. Patty's Day being the anti go out and get wasted place, local library, come here
Right.
and sit
That's
in the quiet and, be safe and sit around and read some books while everybody's out acting like a maniac, or
right.
the coffee shop where they go
Yeah.
to cure their hangover the next day, or where they go that day to not be around the madness and the craziness.
Yeah. A place
Just
for sober Irish people to
yeah.
celebrate. It's an underserved market for
Yeah,
sure.
there you go. Um, does that market exist? Am I going to get in trouble for that?
I'm not sure, but
We see that a lot too. It's not just about about always. It's nice to think about the time of year and what's going on, and and what could be timely for that. But we see it a lot. We've been pushing a lot of our clients. We do digital marketing, we do traditional marketing, we do print, but we've been pushing a lot of our clients back into direct mail,
right.
because we've seen kind of an exodus from that, where I remember growing up back in the 80s and 90s. It was, okay, here's your junk mail pile and here's your regular mail pile, and the junk mail pile every day was how big.
Right.
You don't have that anymore. People get excited to get stuff in the mail now, even when it's promotional, because you don't get as much mail as you used to get.
Right.
And when now we see
Yeah.
Facebook ads used to be really, really valuable for what you would pay. You got a lot of value. Google ads back, still are valuable, obviously, but way back when Google first started, I mean, it was an unbelievable value if you were one of the first people on AdWords.
Mhm.
Email marketing when it
Sure.
first started out was tremendously valuable. Now, those have become saturated markets.
Right.
And as more and more people move their marketing dollars into those mediums, you're paying more and more for the same results that you were getting a couple of years ago. And now you have the opportunity in the mailbox to
Right.
be there and to be the only one that's there,
Yeah.
and looking for ways, just in terms of the channel that you use as far as trying to reach markets. We had a client who does some TV advertising, and they kind of they're generally looking to go target males, kind of older males that have money.
Mhm.
And they do a lot of advertising on the Golf Channel during major championship weeks, and
Right.
that's really their only placement and the only time they do TV advertising. But they do it because they know they get a ton of value for reaching their client base at a time when people are watching that channel, and when they're going to get a lot of eyeballs.
Sure. Sure. Why not use you know, a specific media outlet like that for one of these creative campaigns? One of these against the grain type underserved market campaigns. Just like we were talking about Valentine's Day before. I mean, if you're a chocolate company, all the chocolate companies are selling chocolate to couples. So the husband goes and buys a chocolate, but why not sell chocolate to the single person and do a campaign that's focused that way? Whether you do it through direct mail, or in online, with a Google AdWords approach, kind of like, this candy's for me, it's not for anyone else, or or if you have a completely unrelated product to Valentine's Day, like cigars. I mean, the wife might get her husband cigars, but it's usually not a typical gift. But if you had a company like that and you wanted to do a Valentine's Day promotion, you might do something, you know,
Cigar bar would be the perfect example for that, right?
right.
You're not pushing Valentine's Day generally as a cigar bar,
Yeah.
but you could be the place that
Who needs Valentine's Day? Let's spend
yeah,
time doing what you love
yeah.
instead, right?
Instead of who?
Yeah. That's that's the campaign.
That's funny.
Uh-huh. Other holidays too. I mean, Halloween, you could talk about uh, everybody's sitting at home waiting for these kids to come knock on their door, and not everybody wants to be there. So maybe you decide you're going to go out to the movies or something, and you deal with the repercussions later. I mean,
Be the
if
place where somebody can go hide out while their house gets egged and
right, yeah, you deal with the egg disaster later, or maybe it's a restaurant again where you go and have a promotion where you do a Halloween healthy dinner because your kids are eating all that crap. So
yeah.
why not come and have a healthy dinner and cut down on the damages of the candy.
A lot of that stuff does lend itself to humor too. I think some of it flows pretty naturally when you start going against the grain. That to be that place to
Sure.
when everybody else is doing this, you can be here. You can do this.
Right.
But I think again, that's what it's important not only to look for those people, the demographics that's not being served by that holiday or that time of year, or but then to also look for the channels, the outlets that are undervalued, or whether it be at a specific time of the year, whether it be just because people are doing something different.
Right.
I mean, it's like the stock market, right? The worst time to get in the stock market is when everybody is telling you to get in the stock market because they've been making their money for 2 years.
Right.
And things are going to start to level off and go in the other direction. But that's when everybody says, oh, I got to be a part of that. I got to get in on it. And marketing tends to be the same way, where everybody goes into Facebook and there's just a lot of copycats out there that say, well, everybody else is doing it. Big brands are doing it. So I really should be doing that, without a real analysis as to what kind of value you're really going to get for it. Or, and is there something that's more valuable, something that's offering me more value for my money that I could be doing right now while everybody else is doing that?
Yeah. Find that channel that's going to reach the underserved market you want to reach. Maybe it's not, none of it's mainstream, but maybe it's a minority group, or senior citizens that you're trying to reach.
I think it's a lot of it comes down to keep an eye on what you're doing, right? And if you start to see yourself doing the same things that everybody else is doing, realize that nobody ever stood out, nobody ever did really well by doing the same things that everybody else was doing. That's when you just kind of blend in, and the whole point here is stand out, be different, be memorable.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is through, I mean, we just saw it. We were just talking about the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was just this past weekend, and the Super Bowl ad from the combo Bud Light and Game of Thrones Super Bowl ad, where you thought it was going to be a Bud Light ad, and they were able to kind of make light of the fact that of what their advertising was,
very
and
smart,
have some fun with it, and really tie in then with another well-known brand and do something that was different and unexpected, and definitely went against even their own grain, the stuff that they were doing, as far as the Bud Light Night being that kind of like machismo, and he ends up getting destroyed by the mountain in the from Game of Thrones.
That's the fun stuff, I mean, when we started discussing this topic, I had a thought about, we're talking about underserved markets, and I was thinking, maybe who would you approach for Father's Day if it wasn't a father? And thought came to mind that maybe we want to market to single mothers, kind of have a campaign that says, hey, you're both parents to me, Mom. So maybe a florist, they say, send Mom, a single mom, flowers for Mother's Day, because
for Father's Day.
For Father's Day, yep, because she's both parents, to me. I mean, that could be a strong campaign, and it speaks a lot to single mothers and what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. So be different, right? Find something that's different than what everybody else is doing.
Right.
Don't just because everybody else is doing price fixed menus and advertising that. I mean, you're not going to stand out at all. There's almost no point in advertising that because people just expect it. They know that,
Sure.
so you're either already in their mind or you're not. They expect that that's probably what you're going to do. And if they want to go out on Valentine's Day, that's what they figure they're going to get.
Right.
But you could stand out with some marketing and some advertising and an opportunity like that if you do something a little different. So find a way to stand out.
Right.